Good morning, everyone. Okay, last week we covered introduction to UI and UX, and we discussed about uh, what is UI and UX and few job roles in the industry, and some essential UI and UX technical skills that you should have and how you can improve on them. And I talked about a book. The book name is Design of Everyday Things. So I added a link on our Google Classroom as well. So it will help you to think like a UX designer in everyday situations when we work with anything like any physical or a digital product. It will give you understanding about the workings or the user experience of that particular device or application. By if you follow and read this book, it will give you an idea about how to interact and how to think like a designer. And finally, we discuss about what is UX portfolio and how you can build one as well. So those topics we covered already. Today, I'm going to do lecture number 2. We are going to discuss about UX design process. So in this session, we are going to discuss about what is UX process and the methods we use in the industry and how to apply the UX design process practically for any of the projects that you get, and what is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking. When we learn about empathy, you will get to know that empathizing with your users, so get to know your users better, will help you to make a successful product in the end. It can be a digital or a physical product. And user interviews and competitor analysis. So in the empathizing process, we have to carry out user interviews. So you have to interview a few of our end users and get an idea about what these people are expecting from our product, or what are the problems that they are facing with the existing products and so on. And competitor analysis is also really important because it will help us to understand where we stand in the competition, and we can study about good things about this computer applications if it is a mobile application, and the bad things. We can read their reviews. We can interview few users who use these computer applications in daily basis as well. And after these interviews, after user interviews, we create something called user personas, creating personas. So we will discuss about it as well. And finally, user flow. So user flow diagram is, let's say for an example, if you download a banking application, the steps that you have to take in order to send money to someone. It can be downloading the application first and then signing up and putting your banking account details, your bank account number, your name, your NIC number, contact number maybe. And then there can be a flow to send money. So you click on a send money button and then add the person's account number and click on send money button. So that is the simple user flow for sending money to someone else after downloading a mobile banking application. So we will discuss about it in user flow section as well. All right. So if I ask you this question, if you already do designing, if you already do software coding or anything, what is your normal design process or the development process? How you start the design? So if anyone already doing designing or development, can someone tell me how you approach a project if you get a project requirement from a user? Netara, how about Tarisha?
Hi, I am actually not a developer. This is the first time I'm studying about this subject, but as a graphic designer, what I do is my design process is once I get some information from the client on the project, I send them a brief and basically understand what is required. And then what I do is I sketch up a few references or samples for myself, and then I start the creative process.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so in UX, we have a process. We have a few step process. So likewise, in the graphic designing or even in software development, when you get the requirement from the user, you have to prepare a documentation. So in designing, we are more focused on the actual end users. So end users, getting to know our end users, so empathize with them uh, is really important in UX process. So we are going to talk about UX process in detail now. So this is the UX design process. A UX design process is an iterative step-by-step methodology UX teams use to complete projects. So as you can see in the diagrams, it consists of few steps. So we're starting off with empathizing, where we get to know our users. After we get the requirement from our client or the company or the organization you are working for, first thing we are going to do is we uh, ask them who are our end users, and then we are going to interview them and empathize with them and get an idea about what they are expecting by using our application. So that is the number one step. So after empathizing, we are going to define. In the define process, what we do is we create user persona, so affinity diagrams or the user flow diagrams by the things that these people, by the inputs these people gave us in the interview process. So that is the define process. And after the define process, we ideate them. So ideation process you can do by creating wireframes. So wireframe is a very uh, basic diagram. So let's say for an example, wireframes actually have three different wireframe types. So you can start off with the low fidelity wireframes where you just sketch out your designs. You can just take a paper and sketch out the designs or the screens by referring to the interview recordings or the definition. If you have a persona, you can refer to them and create your designs based on that. So after the wireframing, we move on to prototype, where we create actual visual design. So in the visual designing, we can use applications such as Figma, what is we are using in the classroom. And also we can use applications such as Adobe XD or even SketchUp. And there are some other platforms as well where you can prototype, but these three are the mostly used in the industry. So from these three also, the Figma is widely used. And finally, we have to test. So testing is also important after you prototype. So you have to remember the prototype, this is not a final product. This is only the UX representation. Only the screens and the look and feel will be there, but there's no backend or anything connected because we want to test our idea we after the prototype, we are again sending it for testing. So you can see there are arrows here and there. So that means this is not a linear process. So you can start off with the empathize and then define, then ideate and move towards the test in a linear process. But what you have to do is you have to go back and forth of each of these steps. Let's say you get some feedback on your prototype. So you again have to go and change your wireframes based on that feedback. So after testing also, you might get some feedback. Again, you have to define, or maybe you have to interview another user to get a better idea and solve the problems these people are facing. So it is an iterative process. So this is the methodology most of the UX companies, design teams use to solve problems in the UX context. And there are other uh, processes as well, such as a double diamond and so on. So we are focusing on this one. So I will roughly tell you about the double diamond process as well after UX process, normal UX process discussion. All right. So in the process, the first thing we have to do is understand the problem existence. So as UX designers, what you do is you're trying to solve problems that people are facing. So if there is any problem, so let's say for an example, when you developing a banking application or designing a banking application, the problems you have to identify is now let's say without a banking application, how are we going to transfer money? So it is a really hard process. You have to physically present in the bank, and then you have to wait in the queue. Then you have to fill some forms, and then you have to physically give money to the counter. So that is a really troublesome, or the process that you have to take. So for an example, let's say the bank you visit might have a queue. So you have to wait for several hours in the queue. And maybe you make a mistake when writing some person's account number. So that is some error-prone process you have to go through if you actually physically have to present and do it without an application or anything. So that is the problem in this context, the banking context that people are facing. So you have to find a solution to that problem. So most of the time in this space, we understand why we need to create the application. So we need to understand why we need to create banking application for users. So you have good uh, examples, good problems to solve in this particular scenario. So that is why we are developing an online banking application. And the research space. In this space, we conduct surveys, interviews, and find out competitor details. So after understanding the problem existence, what we do is we do a research. We ask questions from the people. Let's say, for an example, the bank uh, customers. So we can ask them questions. How many times you transfer money in monthly basis? What are the problems you are facing? Are you using any other banking applications? So those questions we can tailor based on our end users and ask them these questions and get their feedback. So as we mentioned in previous lesson, the feedback we are getting can be qualitative or quantitative. So if you send them a questionnaire, you can get them more of the qualitative answers. And then when you interview them, you can ask them questions such as how you transfer money, how many times in a daily basis, and also what are the actual problems that you are facing when transferring money, what are your expectations. So everything will be there in the research base. So you have to make sure you ask correct questions to get right input from these users. And after this research phase, and the first one after understanding the problem and then carrying out the research, we have to analyze what we gathered in our research. So in the analyzing phase, what we do is we analyze the raw information. So we get in some raw information from our users, and we have to analyze. And we have to create visual representation, let's say diagrams or uh, graphs or any visualization that help you to analyze this raw data in a proper way. And then we are creating personas. So persona creation is also important. So let's say you interview one person, and based on his feedback and his background, his personality, and his demography and everything, we can put it in a user persona and keep it in our office. Let's say you will have some core members or the colleagues in the team, co-designers, co-developers. So everyone can refer to this particular persona and understand about this user. So because most of the time, only UX designers, only one person get a chance to interview some users. We normally don't interview one user with many of our team members because it is not that good ethically as well. Because we are taking his time and asking him question. So most of the time we are carrying out one-to-one interviews. So after creating this persona, everyone in the team have a proper idea about this particular user we are targeting, and it will help every stakeholder in the team, coders or the project managers and everyone, client will get a proper idea about the actual users, actual end users of this project. And after that, we are creating journey maps. Journey maps is kind of like a user flow. So it is also describing, let's say one user is physically going to the bank. So we can create a journey map with that particular user from the time he actually presenting in the bank. What are the things he have to do, the forms he have to fill, and then presenting, giving money to someone in the uh, counter, and so on. So that is the uh, journey map for that particular user if he physically presenting in the bank and try to do the transactions. And then after the analyzing, we do wireframes and design. So after the analyzing, we have a proper idea about our users by creating personas and analyzing their data, raw data that they have given, and the journey maps and everything. Then we can create a diagram, wireframe. So in this space, we create user flows, high level and low level wireframes. So the journey map is something that in the actual, the at present situation, we can create a journey map. For an example, before the banking application, they might have to visit the bank physically and do the transaction. So that is a journey map. But in the wireframing and the designing process, you have to create a user flow. So the user flow diagram is what the diagram we create for users who come and download our application. So that is the difference between journey map and the user flow in this particular scenario. So if you take the user flow for the customer or the someone who you interview, you can start off by downloading the application. So the user flow's first step, the starting step, is the downloading the application from Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Then they create an account by putting their email address, the banking details, maybe NIC number, or the photo of the NIC to verification for the verification and so on. And after they create the account, they can send money or pay utility bills or do anything within the application. So that is the user flow for these users that we have in our platform. And wireframe is also, as I mentioned, wireframes has three types. First one is low fidelity wireframes, where we can just sketch out by using pencil and paper. And then after that, we are sending it to our end users or the stakeholders to get feedback. Based on this feedback, we have to fine tune our wireframes and then create mid fidelity wireframes. So mid fidelity wireframes is not a pencil and paper sketch. It is somewhat presentable. You can create it by using software like Adobe XD or even a Figma application, or even there are specific application to create wireframes such as Ballasmic or even Pencil. They have web versions as well. So you can use these platforms to create your wireframes. Low fidelity wireframes, you have to use pencil and paper. Mid fidelity, and the final one is the high fidelity wireframe. So in the high fidelity wireframes, we have the look and feel and the hierarchy of our application, but the colors, the visual design, or the iconography won't be there. So that is the difference between the high fidelity wireframe and actual visual design. So we are only using black and white in this high fidelity wireframe, whereas on the visual design, you have some decide on color theme, you have to decide on the iconography, actual content, the text, everything is there in the visual design. So then after that, after we gather feedback, if we interview like our design, if the stakeholders and everyone in the team is satisfied, we can move on to visual designing and testing. In this space, we create visual designs for the application with the feedback we have taken from the wireframes. The visual designs are again shown to the client or put them to the test again to understand the applicability of the solution, and then roll back to any stage or proceed to implementation. So as I mentioned, in each of these steps, even after creating wireframes or even after creating actual visual designs, we have to send them for our users to get their valuable feedback, because we are designing something for our users. So their feedback, even from the beginning of our research process or the designing process, is really important. Because if you don't get feedback from your users, let's say you are not sending it for feedback, you are just creating the wireframes yourself and then move on to the visual design and do it yourself without getting any feedback, and finally try to send it to get feedback. So in that case, they will give you feedback and you will understand you have created something that users don't like. So you will have to do the research again. You might have to analyze your data, and then again, you have to create the wireframes from the beginning. So in order to eliminate that troublesome process, what we have to do is we have to get involved with our users even from the beginning. So that is the process that we have to follow when we design something as a UX design. So finally, the visual designing and testing. So as I mentioned, this is not a linear process. So if they don't like what they testing, the visual design, they will give feedback. So you may have to go back to the define process and again define again creating wireframes and move on. So it will consist of few iterations as well. Okay. Now let's talk about each of these steps in detail. Any questions so far? All right, let's move on. What is empathize? Empathizing is understanding your users. You can understand your users by asking these kind of a problems. What are the problems they are facing? What they need? What they expect from your application? What they think about your application? What are the problems in the existing applications? So the first step is to understand the problems they are facing. If there's no problem, you don't have to design something new, because as a UX designers, your duty is to solve problems for your users. So you have to understand the problem first in order to come up with the solution. Then we have to ask what they need. So in a banking application, if we ask this question, they will answer. They want to transfer money easily without wasting time or securely, because in the bank, you have to carry money physically to the bank, so that they have a security concerns as well. So that some people might answer that particular thing in that question. So what they expect from your application. So what are the expectations about the application? So some people might say application should work faster. It should provide all the things they needed. For example, pay a utility bill or faster responding times, and also sending money to someone easily, the user flow. So these people will mention all these things, what they think about your application. So after you give them the prototype, you can ask this question, what they think about your application. So they will answer. If they have prior experience with any other application, they can compare. So is our application good when comparing to some other banking application they already have experience with? And they will tell you a good feedback about your application. If it is a bad user flow, if it is responding really slow, if it is hard to understand what they have to do in order to send money. So they will tell you exactly what they require and what they think about your application when you interview them with the working prototype. And finally, what are the problem in existing applications? So you can ask about the competitor applications as well. What are the problems you are facing in these application, and what are the good things about these applications? So you can ask these questions in order to empathize with your users and understand their needs and how to solve the problems they are facing in daily life. Okay, so in order to empathize, these are the things that we can do. Number one method we can do is carrying out user interviews. So as I mentioned in the first week as well, uh, doing user interviews physically, one-on-one user interviews is the number one way most of the UX designers get feedback, get an idea, or get empathize with users when they have a project. So you can interview a few users. So you can, let's say, you can invite few users to your office premises, or you can go to their working environment and observe them and maybe ask questions in the end about the project, about the product that you are going to build. You can ask questions such as what is your normal uh, day-to-day process? How are you sending money? How often you send money to someone else? What are the methods that you are using currently? What are the things that you are expecting in our application? So you can get a better idea about this user and maybe create an application to satisfy this user's needs. So likewise, you have to interview few users to get an idea about what actually these people are expecting. So when selecting your people to interview, you have to make sure you select people from different background as well, because it should represent everyone, every end user of your application. So that is the reason you have to make sure you select variety of users with different backgrounds, different job roles, in different states in the society. Can be a teacher, can be office worker, can be a mother. So you have to make sure interview with variety of users with different backgrounds to get a better understanding about your end users. So they should represent everyone in your end users. All right. So if I take example of a bicycle riding application from here on, so these are the interview questions that you can ask from the users. You can ask, why do you ride a bicycle? So if you are going to develop a bicycle riding application or the uh, health application related to bicycle riding or something, you can ask these questions. Why do you ride a bicycle? So people give you different answers. One user might say, he want to exercise in daily basis, so that is the reason he ride a bicycle. And another user might say he want to reduce his carbon footprint, so that is the reason that person might ride the bicycle. Another one might say he might have some money concerns, so he can't take the car, so that is the reason he's taking bicycle. Another user might say his office is very close to his home, and in order to avoid traffic, he's riding the bicycle. So different people will give you different answers to this particular question. And number two, what do you expect from a bicycle tracking application? Again, if you ask this question, they will give you different answers based on their requirement or their reason for riding a bicycle. Number three, do you use any other bicycle tracking application? If it is yes, what are they? So then you can ask about any competitor applications as well. So if they are using any other application, they will give you a proper idea about why they using this application. What are the things that they like about this application? What are the things that they don't like? So you can get a proper idea about what they expect from your application as well by analyzing these competitor feedback that users are giving. Number four, what are the problems in that application? So you can ask the problems as well. And also the good things about this application, what features you need to have in your app. So if this application, if the competitor application are lacking some feature that these users like, you can present it in your application. So you can get more users to your platform by advertising this particular feature that you have where your competitors don't have in their application. All right, so these are some interview questions that you can ask from your users to get a proper idea and empathize with them in this particular bicycle riding bicycle tracking application. Okay, so let's see what are the answers people are giving for each of these questions. First, one user might say, I want to look fit and healthy. Another one might say, I want to keep track of the places I travel and improve on the time I spend for cycling. Next one will say, I want to feel motivated while cycling. Another one, I like to share my interest in cycling with friends and encourage them to take part while having friendly competitions with fellow cyclists. I want to be updated with today's trends and wear decent outfits. I used to travel short distances. So when you listen to these users' answers to these questions, the first one, I want to look fit and healthy. So for this particular user, you might have to implement uh, the steps calculator. Let's say how many kilometers he ride in daily basis, how many calories he burn by riding this amount of distance. So you have to make sure you implement that kind of feature in your application for this particular user. And second one, I want to keep track of the places I travel and improve on the time I've spent for cycling. So you have to implement a map. So it should have a navigation system as well. And also you have to make sure you calculate the time he spent when traveling to different places and analyze, maybe give him a visual representation or the comparison between each of his rides as well. And third one, I want to feel motivated while cycling. So for this user, you don't have to do anything physically. Maybe you can uh, allow him to listen to a podcast or something, ebook or something like that, to make him feel motivated while cycling as well. Or maybe you don't have to do anything, just providing the application will be enough with the routes and the uh, tracking will be enough, because he can refer to his riding habits and how many calories he burn, and he can set his daily goals as well. This many kilometers I have to travel daily, and it will keep him motivated while cycling. And I like to share my interest in cycling with my friends and encourage them to take part while having friendly competitions with fellow cyclists. So the first part, you might have to give an option for them to share photos in social media or within the application. So that is one thing for that user. And then uh, there should be an option to create competitions and invite his friends to participate in competitions as well. So that is a feature this user is expecting. And this user want to know about latest trends and wear decent outfits. So you can show him a merchandise store with the branding name of your application, and you can show them outfits or any other bicycle riding gear that he might like to buy within the application. And finally, used to travel short distances. So for this user also, you might have to give a map or something for him to go to somewhere easily without an issue by avoiding traffic or something like that. So those are the answers these people might give you if you interview regarding bicycle riding applications. Second question is, what do you expect from a bicycle tracking app? Number one is to discover the best cycling routes. Number two, save and share your favorites. Get inspired to reach new cycling goals. Track your fitness with Trip Cycling Activity Tracker. Record routes. Map your favorite bike trial or run. Analyze your training with all these stats. So these are the expectations that people have when they download your application. So you have to make sure you cover some of these main features. So most of the time when we launching application for the first time, we are not putting every feature that people are asking. We are trying to put only one, two features most users ask, and try to test our idea. We call it a MVP, minimum viable product. So we only ship our product with minimum 2 to 3 features and test out if it is working properly. Test like if people downloading our application. So after that, when we test our idea, we can add more and more features to our application. So that is how we launch application in normal setting in UX world. So these are the expectations that people might have. You have to make sure you identify top one or two features that people are expecting, and make sure to design these features in your application first, and then launch your application. And after that, you can add more features that people like in new releases. All right. Do you use any other bicycle tracking application? If it is yes, what are they? So in here we are asking them about the competitors. So what are the competitor applications these people are using? They might answer some application like cycling, bike tracker, Strava, and so on. So they will give you an idea about what are the competitor applications that they are using, and then you can move on and ask questions about the problems they are facing with these applications. So one user might say issues with tracking. So let's say for an example, your application also need to have tracking. So in that case, your application needs cellular connectivity. So if your application don't connect it to internet properly, how are you going to upload the data? How are you going to update the map in real-time basis? So you have to make sure you find a solution to that problem. And then OS compatibility. Most of the time nowadays, most of the application don't have this kind of issue because we have only two major operating systems, mobile operating system, iOS and Android. So most of the applications, when they are launching, they have applications for both iOS and Android. But there are some cases, especially for the Huawei, they have to create different application with different operating system. And when uh, again in few years back, like 10 years back, we don't have Android or iOS uh, that much popular. So Symbian was another operating system. So nowadays those problems are not there. So you don't have to focus on that much, but you have to make sure you create your application for both iOS and Android at least. So when you're doing the design also, you have to make sure you create two separate versions for both these applications, both these operating systems, because some of the things, some of the features, some of the designs that Android operating system provide are not available in iOS and vice versa. So you have to make sure you create application tailored for both operating systems. You can use the same design and same look and feel and everything. And there are some features, there are some operating system uh, specific features that these systems have. So you have to make sure you apply these things and create designs for each of these operating systems if it is a mobile application. And uh, next user might say too much facts. If you are try to give too many facts for your users, if you try to give too many features or too many facts provide for your users, it is kind of distracting for your users as well, because if they want to ride their bicycle to one place, and let's say you are sending them push notifications about the outfits or the blog posts or anything, that is not a good thing to do. So too many facts also will disappoint your users. And rapid application development, it is not a problem that users are facing, but the design team or the development team. So because let's say for an example, if you interview your users and you take so much time to design and develop an application, so the requirement or the demand for that application is not there anymore. So if you're taking so much of time, there will be new market trends, new requirement from the users. So you always have to make sure as soon as you interview your users, develop your application faster and put it into the market. And in that way, you can give some competition to your competitors as well, because if you are taking so much of time to ship features or launch the application, it will negatively affect you. It won't be a good application. All right, trouble placing a challenge. So another user might say that he want to place challenges and none of these applications support placing challenges within the system. So another thing that you have to consider when you are launching an application. All right, question number 5, what features you need to have in your application? So these are the features that users are suggesting. Number 1, discover the best cycling routes. Number 2, save and share your favorites. Get inspired to reach new cycling goals. Track your fitness with Trip Cycling Activity Tracker. And record routes. Map your favorite bike trial or run. Analyze your training with all the stats. Track how much you save your money and fuel by using a bicycle. Buy bicycle paths. Use for short distance travels. Keep a to-do list and reminders. So these are the features that people are expecting. So as I mentioned, you have to make sure you identify and prioritize these features and try to launch very few features in the beginning and try to add one by one when you after you launch the application to the market. Because otherwise, if you try to launch your application with all these features, it will take some time. It will take much longer time. And also, most of the users only need 1 2 features. So you can easily identify what are the most prominent features that users are requesting. So you can ship the product with these features and add more features on the go after you launch. All right. So any questions regarding the interview process of the UX process? Let's discuss about competitor analysis. What is competitor analysis? Competitor analysis is one of the critical steps when developing a new product, is finding out where you stand with the competition. So if you do a competitor analysis, let's say in a bicycle tracking application, you ask the question from your user and get an idea about what are the applications these people are using. So in that way, you have an idea about what is the competition, what is the mostly used application. And then you can consider these features are the ones that we are shipping our application with, and where we stand in the competition. Are we on top? Are we somewhere down in the competition? So you can have a better idea by carrying out this competitor analysis. So this is different from what you ask from your users. You yourself have to find out. You have to download the application of your competitors, or maybe you can go to the Apple App Store and read the reviews. And also you can experience by using the application in real life. You can download the application and take on a bicycle ride and get an idea about how this application is performing. So that is how you do competitor analysis. Competitor analysis is a necessary part of the design process to help businesses gain valuable insight into the market, identify the strengths and weaknesses of their products, and develop effective product strategies to create winning results. So if you get a proper idea about competitors and analyze the data that you gathered about your competitors, you will get valuable insights into the market. So what these applications don't provide users. So you can tailor your applications to provide what these applications are lacking. So in that way, you can fill the market gap as well. Identify strengths and weaknesses. So by analyzing and by comparing these applications, you can understand strengths and weaknesses of these application in comparison to other applications and also in comparison to your own application as well, and then develop effective product strategies to create winning results. So by analyzing all these, you can create a strategy for your product where you answer all the issues that people are facing with these applications and try to create an application that people like. So that is how you can make sure you use competitor analysis wisely in order to create a successful product. All right. Why conduct competitor analysis in UX design? So these are the reasons why we conduct competitor analysis. Number one is assess where your product or design stands in the market. So if you don't do a competitor analysis or anything, and if you create a mobile application and try to launch into market, so after launching your application, you get to know that most of the users know no downloads in the after the launch. So you get to know your application is not that good when comparing to the competition. So that is why that is the one reason that we have to carry out competitor analysis in the beginning, even before we start with our designing. So because if our application is not good enough when comparing to the competition, no one will use our application. So you have to have a proper idea about the competition and uh, tailor your application based on the uh, competition. Let's say, for an example, if users are facing problems with this application in the market, you have to answer these problems in your application. So that is how you can gain more users to your application. Next one, define any gaps in the market. So let's say if I take an example here, the ride sharing application, most of the applications, Uber and Picme, they don't have riders during rush hours, especially in Colombo area. So if your application can answer this particular issue, it is a good fill for the market gap. So it will most users will use your application without using other people's application. So if you can answer that particular issue people are facing. Know the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. So if you have a thorough idea about your competition, you can get to know about the strengths and weaknesses. Strengths can be not enough weaknesses can be not enough taxis. Their fare is quite high. And also the riders are not professional. So those can be the weaknesses. And strengths can be they have different like uh, let's say for an example, during some hours, during some time of the day, their charges are not that high. So you can use that. The drivers are friendly. So there are some strengths in this application. Identify the advantages and disadvantages of your products. So by comparing these strengths and weaknesses, you can identify the advantages and disadvantages of your product as well. So if your product is try to provide answer to the weaknesses or the problems these people are facing when they use these competitive applications, it is an advantage. And you can identify the disadvantages as well when comparing to these competitors. Have an evidence to back up your design decisions. So if you do a competitor analysis, if you, let's say in a ride sharing application, you do competitor analysis, local applications, you took Picme and Uber, and you took another international applications such as Grab or the Lyft application or Uber in some other country. So if you have identified, if you do your competitor analysis thoroughly when you're designing, you can come up with some design solutions that already used in these applications. So in that way, people don't have to learn something new within your application. So most of the users, they get to know this application. They have used some other application prior to your application. So they have some mental model built in about how to book a taxi, how to pay to a driver, and so on. So if you can implement the same structure in your application, it won't be an issue. And then if your team members, if the developers or someone asks you a question, why did you implement your search bar in here? Why your icons are in this size or this place? You can answer these questions and telling them most of the competitors, when I carry out competitor analysis, they had the similar design. So I don't want to change the design much because people will get confused if they have to find uh, the working or they find the user flow themselves or they learn the user flow themselves in my application. So that is why I created the search bar on top and this call to action button here and so on. So you can validate your design decision and you can provide evidence to back up your design decisions or design changes as well. Help you solve usability issues. So most of these applications, especially Uber or well-established applications, they provide so much of money and so much of time, so much of human resources to uh, research and develop. Number one is the check for the usability. In usability wise, is our user flow streamlined? Do people have any roadblocks when they use our application? Or is there any accessibility issues? So you can learn from these competition and you can make sure you don't make any usability mistakes in your application as well. So that is some good things that you can do when you do a competitor analysis before you start off with your design process. So these are the steps that you have to do a competitor analysis. Number one is the outline your goals and define your product. So now, first thing you have to do is when you have a project idea, you have to understand what are the goals, what is the service that we are going to provide our users. And then you have to define your product, what category my product will fall into, and who are our end users, who are we targeting. So those are the things that you have to outline first. Compile a list of your direct and indirect competition. So if it is a ride sharing application, you can compile a list of your direct competition, such as PickMe or Uber. And then indirect competition can be taxi services or car rental services, public transport, or any other uh, ride sharing services. Create a comparison chart of the competition's product features. So you can create a comparison chart. So for an example, if I show you, let's say you can create this kind of a comparison chart. All right. So let's say you have three different products. Let's say this one is product A, B, C. And then you have some features or the factors they are providing right here. And then you can check if they have this feature, and if they don't have that feature, you can cross it out. And then finally, you can compare your application as well. Are we providing all these services people are expecting? So that is how you can create a comparison chart in your for your application. All right. So create a comparison chart, identify the differences between products. So in that way, you can identify the differences between the product by referring to this comparison chart as well. And also if you uh, do a proper research in the beginning, you can create a documentation as well by analyzing what are the target users of this application, what are the target of users of some other application you took into consideration. And then you can analyze everything and then summarize your findings and present it to your team or the client as well. So in the presentation, you might have to create a PowerPoint presentation or the report that you can send to your stakeholders, clients, and the team members, and it will give them a proper idea about the competition, and it will show them that you have studied about the product that you are going to do thoroughly, and you have a good idea about your end users as well as the competition. So it will uh, give you a better idea about the competition, and it will help to create a successful product in the end as well. All right. So any questions regarding competitor analysis or the UX designing process so far? If you have any question, you can send a message as well. You can ask. Right. Now let's talk about personas. All right. So we are talking about the empathizing process in the UX design process. In the empathizing process, after we interview few users, then we are creating personas based on them. So as I mentioned you last week as well, in the end, creating a persona will give you a better idea about that particular user. So it will give you, let's say, his background information. What are his motivations, his pain points, how will he interact with our application if he's using our application. And persona creation is also valuable. So let's say you only carry out interview with another user, and everyone in the team don't have an idea about this particular user. So in order to communicate what you learn about this particular user, you can create a persona and share it with your team, or maybe keep it in your office in a whiteboard or somewhere. And everyone involved in this project get an idea about this particular user, what is his expectations are, what is his background, and how we can satisfy this particular user, what are the features that we should have. So those things will be easier. So everyone in the team can be in the same page about a user and create a product that everyone like in the end. So why are user personas important? Number one is build empathy. So if you empathize with your user in the UX process, you will be able to uh, create a better product that solves his issues he is facing in daily basis. Provide direction for making design decisions. Also, it helps to uh, provide directions in design decisions as well. So your color theme that you have to select. What are the colors that we should select in our design? What is the typeface we should have? So you can find answers to these problems by referring to these personas you created. Communicate research findings. You can communicate with your team. So let's say for an example, you have uh, 5 to 10 personas already designed. So let's go and look for a persona example. Next, let's take this one. Okay. Now, in the persona, it consists of a few things. It is actually you have to put their name and some slogan or something that characterize his behavior and his personality. You can put it something like that, and then some slogan or a quote he mentioned during the interview. So it will give you an idea about this particular user and what he or she is representing, and also uh, it will give you a let's say what they are expecting from our application as well. And then we have a small biography about this user and their needs and behaviors as well. So these are the main required things in a user persona. So you should have a photo as well because it will help you to empathize with your user. So if you don't get a chance to, if you don't have a consent to take his picture and use it in your application, you can find a similar stock image from the internet and use it as your image as well. So you always have to make sure to take consent from your users before using their images or using their actual names. So in this case, we can use some other name and some other picture as well if they are not providing that written consent for you. All right, so these are the main things that we need in our personas. If I read this, Rachel is a relatively recent homeowner with 2 young kids. She has major frustration in recent past when her 2-year-old dishwasher started leaking water all over the kitchen floor about 2 months after the warranty expired. So this is an application. When referring to that bio, it is something related to kitchen appliances or some kind of application that these people are trying to develop. So the core needs about this application is Russian cares about reliability above all, is willing to take the time to do her research and compare multiple brands or third-party review sites. So when she want to buy a new product, she want these to happen. Details about quality, warranty, parts and services costs must be easily available for her to consider a product. So this is the second need she has. Initial price is less critical for her compared to total cost of ownership. All right. And then behaviors take several weeks to make a decision on which appliance to purchase. So she is studying about the products that she want to buy. She's reading reviews and things like that. And then for taking a decision after doing all these tasks. So that is why it is taking several weeks for her to uh, make a decision on a product. start with a comparison on sites such as Wirecutter, Consumer Reports, and Reddit. So she's following reviews as well. Keeps a list of potential options in spreadsheet, focuses on reliability and warranty. So that is this user's persona. So you have to make sure you identify this user's core needs as well as behaviors and implement a solution for this particular user. So if it is regarding electronic products, you have to make sure you implement all these things that she mentioned, at least one or two things she mentioned in your design, in your product, in order to make this person uh, happy by using your product. All right. What is user persona? User personas are archetypical users whose goals and characteristics represent the needs of a larger group of users. Usually, a persona is presented in one or two page document. So as you know now, let's say for an example, your product might have about 1,000 end users. So you won't get a chance to interview all of these users. So you will only get a chance to interview 5 to 10 people, and you have to create personas for these people. So user personas are archetypical users. These are not actual like uh, it should represent every user that use your application. So that is why you have to consider selecting your users in a wide range of personality or the social background or anything like that. So it should represent each and every user category that you might think use your application. So it should represent the needs of a larger group of users. Usually persona is presented in one or two page documents. So as I showed you the example right here, it is a one page picture. And there are some other personas as well where they put many information. So in this persona right here, so, they have mentioned the name and the goals, actions, needs, and his age and everything is there. That is it. You can create a user persona by following different diagrams or the different uh, templates, but always make sure you have the basics in place. So in Figma, you can create a user persona by clicking on this new Figma Jamboard, and it have an option to create a user persona. So if I go in here, start with the template and search for a persona, you can add the template and create the persona. You can add the image here and the age, occupation, and all the details, quick bio, and maybe some social media profiles, and personality, interest, needs and expectations, influences, motivations, goals, pain points and frustrations, and everything you can create in a Figma board as well. So it is easier. Otherwise, you have to design it yourself and create design. So they have tips right here as well to how to interact with this design element. So you can easily create a persona without worrying. And after, you can create an empathy map and use a interview questions that you ask and the answers they have given. So you can create everything within Figma. So that is easier. All right. Creating a user persona. You should come up with the persona name. So it can be the real name or any other name that you can represent his personality. And then a photo and demographic, gender, age, location, status, family, goals and needs, pain points, bits of personality, like a quote or a slogan that captures the personality. So in right here, this is the quote or the slogan, and this is her name and the bio. So this one is mentioning all the bio information, and this particular one have all the information about this particular person. goals and needs, pain points, and everything is mentioned in the user personality. All right. This is creating user flow diagram. So after you come up with the persona, then you have to create the user flow diagram. So it is actually describing how this person will interact with our application. So in order to create a user flow diagram, so this is what is user flow diagram? User flow diagram is a diagram that shows the path a user goes through when using your product from start point to the final interaction. So if I show you a simple user flow. Let's take this one for an example. So we have to identify the starting point. So in this example, the starting point is right here. So after they start, they directly move on to the login page. So if the login is correct, they are moving on to the view account. So let's say this is a banking application. So after the login, if the login information is correct, they are successfully logged in and we are showing them account details. And if it is incorrect, we are prompting them to retry login. And if it is correct, they can view accounts. Otherwise, they have to try again and again. So if it is taking more than 3 times, if they enter wrong information 3 times, we are asking them to reset their password. And then in the resetting, when they provide their email address, if we have that email in our database, we can send the password reset email to their account and they can reset the password. So that is how they can complete the registration process. So this is regarding the onboarding and the registration process of the application. And let's say we have a starting point right here and we have the ending point right here for this registration process. And for the successfully logged in users, the endpoint is right here. They can view credit card balance. So this is the diagram of how you can create a user persona. So in Figma also, if I copy this diagram to Figma quickly, you can create user flow diagram for similar scenario. So let's say we start off by adding this one. So this is our starting point and you can name it as start. So I'm going to increase the font size to extra large, huge, maybe something more. Its start point is right here. And then we have the login page. So this one. So I'm going to reduce the size of this a bit. Okay, let's start off with this one. Then move on to login page. So this circle is representing a starting or ending point, and whereas these rectangles are representing your screens. So the first screen they are going to interact with is the login screen. So after they interact with the login screen, this diamond shape is a decision. So if you are familiar with software development, when you create a user flow diagram or something like that, it is similar. But in UX, you can put colors or you can present it in a like a nicer way. So in database diagram or anything, you just have to you don't have to consider about the styling much. But in here, because non-technical people are also referring to this user flow diagram, you have to make sure you put the design in a nicer way. So let's say starting point can be green, and then we can represent our screens in different color, and also the decision making, we can present them in a different color like this. So it will give, they can differentiate between each of these elements and get a proper idea about what is happening. So login success, then we can show them account details. Otherwise, we can ask them to retry login. So we can connect them by dragging and dropping this keys from here, right here, and then success, success yes, account details, and success if fails, and they have to retry. So that is how you can simply create a user flow diagram by using Figma itself. Why user flow important? It is an easy and fast way to visualize the process. So by having a user flow diagram in place, rather than have a paragraph or the describing it to someone else, having a diagram in place, it will uh, help you to communicate easily and visualize the process. Allows the better learn your audience, and it will give you a better understanding about your audience as well. Helps to eliminate malfunctions and better communication. So by referring to each of these steps, let's say you have an idea. So this is the starting point, and I have to design the login screen next. And then if it is successful, I have to create the account details. Otherwise, I have to create the retry. So all the screens that you have to create are rectangles in here. So you don't have to worry about like, let's say, think of what is the screen I have to create next. So you can create artboards for each of these screens and do your designs without worrying about the process much if you have this user flow diagram in place. All right, so that is about the first step of the UX process. So we are going to take a quick 15-minute break, and after that we are going to go through the remaining parts of the user UX process. So if you do you have any questions regarding the things we discussed so far?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah,
Basically, when it comes to you creating personas, now you said that now say we interview so many people, whatever data we get, we summarize it to one persona, or do we have to create multiple personas for this app?
yeah, we have to create multiple personas actually. Then
Okay.
after that, if, there's a step called we can like mark the similarities and differences between each of these users. And by combining these users, if there's similar users in your interview, you interviewed, you can create one persona for two or three different people if they representing similar motivations, similar background or anything like that. Because you don't want repeated personas. Persona should be unique. Is it clear?
Yeah, so then the user flow basically stems down from the research we get from those two personas, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yes, correct. Any more questions? All right, let's take a 15-minute break and meet up around 10:33. Welcome back, everyone. All right, so these are the topics we covered already. What is UX process and methods we use, how to apply the UX design process practically, what is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking, user interviews and competitor analysis, creating personas, and finally creating user flows. So in the part two of the UX process, we are actually covering the topics more into UI, user interface design, which include color psychology and color theory, typography, style guide, UX laws, and finally creating wireframes. So those are the things that we are going to discuss now. Okay, let's start off with the color psychology. What is color psychology? It is a branch of psychology studying the influence of colors on human mood and behavior. The thing is that our mind reacts to colors while we usually do not notice it. The moment our eyes perceive color, they connect with the brain, which gives signals to the endocrine system, releasing hormones responsible for the shifts in moods and emotions. So every color represent different human emotion. Even in the user interface we design, we can select color based on the message that you want to give your users in the tone that they want to capture it. So for an example, if we take brands such as Facebook or LinkedIn, the blue color they use convey the trustworthiness, or the in LinkedIn perspective, it is trustworthiness. They want to build trust among their users by selecting this particular color. Likewise, if you take red color, it is somewhat related to danger or something. So when we see the red traffic light in the road, we know that we have to stop. Even in the hospitals, it is a universal color that represent the danger. So if you want to perform action in a user interface also, if it is in red color, you have to perform that particular action with a caution. So that is why we are using red color. Likewise, the green color is representing success. So we are going to talk about these colors and how we can select these colors for the projects that we are working on based on the people we are targeting in our end users. So we are going to discuss about that. So likewise, the stop color or the red color represent you have to stop. You have to perform some dangerous action or something like that is related to red color. And even the hospitals and the floor plans are in red color uh, in their color combinations. Meaning of colors. To convey the right tone, message, and call users to make a expected action, designers need to understand what colors means and what reaction they evoke. So every color have a different meaning. It can evoke different human emotion, or they will give different reaction to different colors. So if you have a good idea about the colors and color wheels and the color psychology and the color combination, you can pass the message that you want to give your users in the right way. Okay, let's start off with the red color. The red color usually associates with passionate, strong, and aggressive feelings. It symbolizes both good and bad states of mind and soul, including love, confidence, passion, and anger. In design, the use of red color is effective way to draw users' attention. Also, it's recommended to use red sparingly to avoid negative reaction. So the red color, if you want to create an application to convey the messages such as passionate, strong, and aggressive feeling to your users, you can use red color. So the states or the um, symbolize that color gives the message regarding love, confidence, and even anger can be communicate by using this red color. The use of red color is effective way to draw users' attention. So if you have red color in your screen, most of the users, that is the first thing they are paying their attention to. So you can use red color as your call to action button or something to get users' attention more into that particular part of your screen. And also you have to use red color sparingly with other colors. That means you have to like use some other color with red color. Let's say you use red color buttons, then maybe you have to use white color background or any other different lighter color. So it will avoid negative reaction, and also people will focus more into foreground red color when you have white color or black color background. So you have to make sure you use it sparingly as well. So in this example right here, they are using red color background and they are illustrations, and the text are like it is easy to read because the red color background take our attention, but all the foreground elements are easy to read and it is standing out when comparing to the background. Or if you use, let's say, if you use white color background and the red color text right here, it is not that looking good. So this one is really looking good because it is using red color background and the text is in white color, and also all the illustrations and everything are matching the red color background as well. All right. So in here, when you enter a wrong email address, when you're signing up, it will give prompt your message in red color. So the users know that they make some mistake and error. So they have to correct the error in order to move forward. And even in emotional response, for an example, let's say if you double tap on Instagram picture, it will give you a heart icon in red color as well. So if you click on this heart icon, it will become red color. So that is also widely used in most of the platforms. And even here in the shopping cart, if you add a device to your shopping cart and if you want to remove it, you have to make sure you click on this red color cross icon to remove it. Remove item from a cart is also in red color. And even when you try to deactivate your uh, profiles on Facebook or Instagram or any other application, most of the time the deactivation option is hidden somewhere because they don't want you to deactivate your account. So if you find the deactivation place, when you try to deactivate it, it will ask you to enter the password as well. And most of the time, the text or even the call to action button is in red color because they want you to make sure you like convey the message that you are doing a cautious work. You won't get back your account again if you deactivate your account. So you have to be cautious about the action that you are going to make. So that is the message that you want to, that the designer want to give the user. All right. Now that is red color. Now let's talk about the orange color. It is an energetic and warm color, bringing the feelings of excitement. Orange combines red's power and yellow's friendliness. So it may bring feelings of motivation, enthusiasm, and love to life. Designers use the color if they need to give the spirit of creativity and adventure. So orange color represents feelings of motivation and enthusiasm. So if you create an application like this, some fitness application, or the, let's say, a gymnasium, or the something related to this, the designer t-shirt or the sports equipment or something like that, you can use this kind of a orange color accent in your design. So orange color represent motivation and enthusiasm as well as creativity and adventure. All right, yellow color. This is the color of happiness, which symbolizes the sunlight, joy, and warmth. Yellow is thought to be the easiest color to visibly see. What's more, it has one of the most powerful psychological meanings. Users seeing yellow color in the design can feel inspiration and confidence. Although you need to remember that too much yellow may bring negative reactions, such as the feeling of anxiety or fear. So yellow color also represent the color we interact in daily basis, the color of sunlight and all. So you can, as a designer, you can use this color to build inspiration or the confidence with your users. And also you have to make sure do not use too much of yellow color. So yellow color is a good color, but it is not good for the backgrounds. So if you are using yellow color for the backgrounds, you have to make sure you use it wisely, because too much of yellow color can bring negative reactions, and also it will give some eye strains for your users as well by looking at a yellow color for longer hours. So in this example here, they are using their main text in yellow color, and the this description text also have a yellow color border. So they want to give the user the confidence and the inspiration when they're looking into this particular website. All right, green color. It often called the color of nature, balance and harmony. Green brings the growth and inexperience. It has more positive energy than most other colors, but sometimes it associates with materialism. Designing green colors perfectly suits the products connected with nature, calming and renewing feelings. Also, it is a sign. So the sign is, it is a sign of success, or the if your picture uploaded correctly, it will give you a green color tick. Or if you have transferred money to someone else successfully, it will give you a green color tick. So that is the sign that they are going to give. And also it will convey these messages. You can convey positive energy and also calming and renewing feelings to your users. So most of these renewable energy or even something related to nature, you can use the green color as your main prominent color in your designs. So this is the success state. So it has the green color tick, and also green color buttons, and also the green color border represent the same message that they want to give. So even here, the submit button, when you fill the form, if the submit button is in green color, it will give users more, let's say when comparing with any other color, red color or any other color, if it is there, when you give them two different versions with these colors, most of the users will click on the green color one, because the message it is conveying is success. So people unintentionally will click on that particular color if we are providing it in a green color. So even right here, if you want users to select particular plan in your website, or if you have some subscription plan in your website, it is a good idea to show the recommended option in green color. So users will click on that and move forward with that one. While red means stop, green means go. That's why green can be used to encourage users to participate in some activity. For example, Stripe prompts users to sign up with the green button. So the green color button right here, users will click on that because they know they can move forward by clicking on that button. So in this comparison right here, this is actually an A/B testing that carried out by a research company. So A/B testing is something when you launch an application, especially UI, 50% or some percentage of your users are getting one version of the website. Let's say this green color version is 50% people are getting this, and another 50% of people are getting this red color. And after some time period, let's say 1-2 months, they are comparing the click rates between these buttons. So it has found out that most of the users are tend to click on the green color button when comparing to the red color. So that is the reason most of these websites have their call to action buttons in red color. All right. Next, we have blue color. It is often represents some corporate images since blue is the color of trust. It usually shows reliability, may give users calming feelings. However, as a cool color, it associates with distance and sadness. So designers need to keep it in balance. So blue color convey the trustworthiness and also reliability to your users. So for an example, if you take Facebook or Instagram or any other, most of the banking applications, they are using this blue color accent to build a trust and the reliability within their application to users. So in this example, they have blue color background and the white color text. So this text is also readable, and the message and the brand is trying to build trust among their users by selecting this blue color. All right, now we have purple color, long associated with royalty and wealth, since many kings wore purple clothes. It's useful for presenting some luxurious products. It's also a color of mystery and magic. It mixes the energy of red and blue, so it has a balance of power and stability. A big concentration of color may distract users' mind. So purple color, if you want to design something for luxurious products or luxurious brand, you can come up with a blue color accent. And also it convey the messages of mystery or magic uh, in their designs. Even though if it is a good color to use, but if you use so many like big concentration, so let's say you have about 60 to 70% of your screen in purple color, so that is not a good method to use purple color in your design. So you have to combine it with different colors, let's say white color and purple color. And white color should have more percentage than the purple color. So in that way, you can give the right message to your users without distracting them. So in here, they are using the purple color and the different shades of purple color in this particular design. All right. Next, we have pink color. It is the color of hope, sensitivity, and romance. Pink is much softer than red, so it creates the sense of unconditional love. Pink is associated very strongly with youthful femininity. It may be an effective color if the target audience is mostly girls and young women. So if you are creating an application, target users are mostly girls and young women, you can create it in a pink color accent. So I think you already familiar with some applications. Some of the banking application specifically designed for women are in this particular color, or even the pregnancy tracker applications are designed in this particular color. So that is the reason that they have selected this particular pink color for their applications. All right. Next one, brown color. The color of security and protection, like the Mother Earth. Designers commonly use brown as a background color in a variety of shades. From very light to deep, it brings the feeling of warmth and comfort to the designs. Also, it may be used to show experience and reassurance. So brown color is the color of earth. So it is, if you use it in your designs, it will give warmth and comfort as well as experience and reassurance in the users. Most of the luxurious brands, gold or any other luxurious products, they use this brown color, something related to gold color in their design. So they are conveying these messages, reassurance to their users. Now let's talk about black color. The color has a great number of meanings. It associates with tragic situations such as death. It signifies mystery. It can be traditional, modern, serious. Everything depends on how you employ it and which colors go with it. Black matches well with any other color, so it's ideal for background. Designers often use it to set contrasts. So black color, if you apply using it in different context, it will give different messages. And also, if you combine it with different colors, let's say yellow color with black color, white color with black color, so you can create different different reactions from users by combining the black color with any other accent color. And also it is an ideal color for background because most of the time nowadays when the dark theme has come into place. So most of the backgrounds of your user devices or even UIs or the websites are in black color. So that is for uh, set contrast between background color, black color, and the foreground text. I'm sorry. So in here, in this food menu, they have black color as their background, and the foreground colors are in yellow color and the white color. So that is setting contrast. So users can read this and look what they want easily without scanning the whole page. All right, next we have white color. This color means purity and innocence, as well as wholeness and clarity. White often associates with the blank sheet of paper, motivating people to generate new ideas. However, too much white can cause feelings of isolation and emptiness. In design, white is commonly used as the background color, especially for the resources for which readability is a vital part. So if you take white color, most of us are familiar with white color because even from our childhood, when we get a paper to draw something, it is in white color. So similar thing applies in these design softwares as well. Almost all of these designs, if you try to draw something, if you try to draw a frame to create your design, it is in white color because it will give us familiarity and we can be more creative when it is in white color when comparing to any other color. So even when you're creating designs for both light mode and dark mode, it is a good practice to start off with the light mode first because you can interact with white color background. So you can be more creative when comparing to have some other color as your background. And also, all right, so if your website has more text, if you're creating a blog website, if you're creating a website for a news agency, if you creating some uh, article, you can create it in a white color background and create your text in a black color. So it will allow users to read it more clearly rather than setting with different colors. So in here also they have white color background and foreground text is black color. So it is easily readable when comparing to any other background and foreground colors. All right. Color meanings in branding. Colors are a vital factor for not only the visual appearance of products, but also brand recognition. In branding, colors tend to have more direct meanings than in common understanding. They can briefly describe with within a few words. So here is the list for you. So if you take different colors, let's say if you take red color, it associates with different brands like Coca-Cola and so on. And if you take another color, so red color can be used in any other like fast food chains are using red color. So different brands. So whenever you see this color in their background or anywhere, you know this brand is recognized with this color also. So they are using it for brand recognition as well. So these are the different human emotions or different messages that these colors convey to their users. Red color, confidence, youth, and power. An orange color, friendly, warm, and energetic feeling. Yellow, happiness, optimism, as well as warmth. Green, peace, growth, and health. Blue color, trust, security, and stability. Purple, luxurious, creative, and wise. Black color, reliable, sophisticated, and experienced. Whereas white, simple, calm, and clean. So as a UX designer, you should have a proper idea about all these colors and what is the message that these colors are giving. So in that way, you can use these colors wisely whenever you do a design for your users. All right. Color preferences. Blue is the top color. Both men and women of all ages think of blue as their favorite color. Brown and orange color are in dislikes. The first one, the brown color, considered less favorable among men and second among women. So most of the men don't like brown color, and most of the women also don't like orange color uh, when referring to research material. Cool colors are preferred. Men and women favor blue, green, and their tints in general. Women like tints. While men prefer pure and shaded colors, ladies are good with tints, lighter value than the hue of that color. Men prefer achromatic colors, while black and gray are neutral colors, and men are keen to choose them. So if we take this visualization, you can see 57% of men like the blue color, as well as blue color. 35% of women also like blue color. So both genders like blue color more. And if I take white color, the women like only 1%, and whereas men like 2%. And black color also kind of similar. So when you targeting different genders, when you're creating applications specifically targeting one gender, you can select color based on their preferences as well. Okay, when selecting a color or color combination, these are some points you should consider when selecting. So color psychology is rather complex to understand and learn. However, it may become an efficient tool in designers' hands, helping to understand users and their demands. So when you design something for your users, let's say you interview few users and you find out most of your users are from uh, company sector or the uh, doing like work in offices or something like that. Let's say banking application or something. So you have to select color that matches their expectation. It's for an example, blue color. And if your target audience are more girls or females, you can select different color to match their expectations. So that is why the color psychology is really important. Choose colors wisely. They have deep influence on the users. So different colors can have different meanings. It can be a human emotion, and also if we take a country, it can represent a different human emotion or the message in different demographic or the different type of people. Different communities can have different color preferences. So you have to consider all these and make sure you have that in your account when you selecting a color. Make sure your designs and its colors convey the right messages and tune. And also you have to, let's say you selected the green color, and green color also have different shades. So you have to make sure use the color in right tune as well. So if you use the green color for some youthful people, like target users, some teenagers, you can use some lighter or the more brighter version of the green color. Whereas if it is for all people, you have to use some darker version of this green color. So you have to consider that factors as well. Then learn your target audience. The color preferences and meanings depend on many factors, including age, gender, and culture. So as I mentioned, if the people are younger generation, you can use some lighter or brighter colors in your designs. And whereas if those are more into older generation, you can like use some darker version of that particular color, because most of our elder generation, they won't be able to see some brighter color, and also it will give them some eye strains as well when they're looking at it for longer hours. And if it is a gender-based application, you have to select the colors based on that as well. And also you have to consider the culture as well, because some colors uh, represent different meaning in different cultures. So you have to make sure you select the right color if you are designing an application for certain demography of people. Some colors may look different on screens on different devices. Additional testing never hurts. So if you take, for an example, Apple RGB colors, their screen colors are different from Samsung or any other device maker. So you have to make sure you test your colors in different devices. So if you're designing application in a HP computer, you have to make sure you test your colors in Apple computers, Apple screens, or Samsung devices, or any other device with the screen. So it will give you a better idea about different color profiles that these devices have, because Apple has different RGB values in their default color theme, as well as Samsung have different RGB profile, and also Sony will have different color profile. So you have to make sure you test your colors with different devices in order to make sure it is working correctly, it is displaying correctly in all these color profiles. It may be a good idea to test the UI colors with representatives of the target audience. And also, you have to make sure you test your colors with your target audience. So if I take the banking application again, your target audience can be teenagers, or even middle-aged people, or even elder generation. So you have to test these colors with all these people and ask them what they think about the color as well. Try to make the color combinations wisely in the best way for the user's perception. And when you're deciding on a color, you always have to make a color combination. So let's say, for an example, a banking application, maybe you have to select blue color, and the color combination you have to do is white color and blue. So you have to make sure you select this color combination wisely. And there's a color wheel. So I'm going to talk about color wheel in later slides right here. So it will give you an idea about how to select two different colors or number of colors for your designs. So you have to always make sure you select these colors wisely, and it should represent some meaning. So you should uh, select your colors wisely, and it should also always represent a meaning. So when your core team members or the anyone in your team ask you about why did you selected this color and not this color, you should come up with a solution. You should give them a reason why you selected this color. All right, now let's talk about the color theory. So any questions so far? All right. Color theory is a collection of rules and guidelines which designers use to communicate with users through appealing color schemes in visual interfaces. So this is the color wheel. So the primary color wheel consists of three colors: yellow color, red color, and blue color. Whereas secondary color wheels, we have the colors in between those three colors. So we have additionally green color, orange color, and purple. Whereas full color wheel have all the colors. And you can see now this is the main color, the blue color right here. And the lighter version is on the left hand side, whereas the darker version is right here. So that is the basic colors we have in our color wheel. So these are some color schemes that you can use in your designs. Monochromatic is you can select any color in your color wheel. So we have selected this yellow color, so that is monochromatic color scheme. So you can use this yellow color sparingly with any other white or black color in your designs. And we have analogs right here. Analogs are the colors next to each other. So for an example, we have selected three different colors. The colors next to this yellow color are lighter green and lighter orange. So you can use, if you select this blue color as your main color, this purple and this lighter blue color can be other two colors you select in the analog scheme. And then complementary is the color opposite to the selected color in your color wheel. So I have selected this yellow color. The color opposite to it is this purple. If I select this orange color, and this one is the opposite color. Split complementary is not the direct opposite color, but the two colors next to opposite color. So for an example, if I select this yellow color right here, I have purple as the opposite color, and the colors next to that opposite purple color is the pink color and the blue color. So that is the color we have selected. Triad. Triad is actually mostly used in the print industry, and these are the colors. If you uh, divide your wheel into, let's say, 120-degree angle, the colors, the three colors you get are the triad color. So this yellow color and the blue color and the red color. So you can turn it around and select different color combinations as well. Okay, tetradic. So if you divide it to 90-degree angles, you will get four colors. So yellow color and the purple color as well as orange color and this lighter blue color. So in that way, you can select four colors. The difference between RGB and CMYK, additive and subtractive. So used for digital and web media, used for print media. So RGB color, most of the devices as UI designers or the UX designers, you have to work with is the color profile you have to work with is RGB. So most of the print media, if you are designing something for a magazine or any print media, you have to consider CMYK, because if you select RGB color scheme and design something for print material, the colors you get after it printed out won't match your design. So you always have to make sure you select the correct color profile when you are designing something. All right. So now let's talk about these color themes in detail. We can start off with monochromatic. It is based on one color with various tones and shades of it. The monochromatic harmony is always a winning choice since it's hard to make a mistake and create a distasteful color scheme. So as a starter, if you try to combine different colors, monochromatic is a good starting point because you don't have to think about the color combination much because you only selecting one color and using different tones and shades of that particular color. So darker yellow, lighter yellow in your design. So as a starter, it is a good practice to start off with a monochromatic design rather than selecting different color schemes in your designs. So in this example right here, they have selected blue color as their main color. So darker blue is in the background and also lighter blue is the main text and white color is also there. And the background also in the lighter blue color. So the message that they want to give is something related to space. So the space is also representing blue color, somewhat blue color. So they are using that color in their design. All right, that is monochromatic. These are analog. To create analogs harmony, you need to use colors located right next to each other in the color wheel. This type of color scheme is used for the design where no contrast is needed, including the background of web pages and banners. So we can use colors next to each other. So if I select this yellow color right here, lighter green and orange. So we can use those two colors. So in this example right here, they have selected this blue color and the colors next to each other, the purple and the lighter blue in their design to represent analog design in the UI. Okay, complementary scheme is the mix of colors placed in front of each other on the color wheel. So if you select this yellow color, the purple color is right opposite to it. So you can select that color. If you select red color right here, the green color is the opposite color. So you have to use these two colors. This scheme is opposite to analogs and monochromatic since it's aimed to produce high contrast. So if you select these two color, it will give you high contrast ratio. For example, orange button on a blue background is hard to miss in any interface. So if I show you an example, let's say I have pasted color wheel right here. And I'm going to create a button. Sign up, increase the font size. Okay, this is my button. Now this is the complementary color scheme. So you can clearly see the background and foreground text has so much contrast. So if I take two different colors in the complementary color scheme, so if I select red color as my background color and my foreground color is this one right here. So you can again see the contrast, but you have to make sure you select your colors wisely and it should match your end users as well. So if I select two different colors next to each other for my button, that is the background color, and the text color would be something like this. So you can see it is not that contrasting. So readability is not that good. So if you have a call to action button, if you need more contrast in your design, you always have to make sure you select complementary color scheme. All right, so in this infographic right here, they are using this blue color as the background and opposite colors, this yellow color and the orange color are used in the website, are used in the foreground elements. All right, next one is split complementary. This scheme works similar to the previous one, but it employs more colors. So you can see it don't get this particular right opposite color, but the colors next to it. For instance, if you choose the yellow color, you need to take two others which are adjacent to its opposite color, meaning the blue and pink right here. The contrast here is less sharp than in complementary scheme, but it allows using more colors. So if you think that you need more colors in your design, more than two, you can go for split complementary and create designs something like this with a gradient color and designs uh, foreground elements in different colors. Okay, next we have triadic. When the design requires more colors, you can try triadic scheme. It is based on three separate colors which are equidistant on the color wheel, so equally distant in the color wheel. To save the balance in the scheme, it is recommended to use one color as a dominant and others as accents. So if you select this triad color scheme, you will have three colors. But when you designing, let's say you selected this blue color as your prominent color. So you have to make sure you use it more than 50% and also use these colors wisely in your design. So it will give you three colors and you can create a nice design by using these three colors. So in this example, this illustration, it has red color background and also foreground is in two different main colors. Okay, next we have tetradic or double complementary. Double complementary color scheme is for the experienced designers since it is the most difficult to balance because we have four colors to balance. It employs four colors from wheel which are complementary pairs. Colors next to each other, sorry, opposite to each other. If you connect the points on the chosen colors, they form a rectangle. So if you connect these points, it will form a rectangle. The scheme is hard to harmonize, but if you do everything right, the results may be stunning. So you can use it in this kind of a scenario where you have different levels in your application. So once you complete one level, they can move on to different levels. So the first level can be in yellow color and you can select the color theme based on that. That is tetradic color scheme. So these are some tools that you can use to select colors and select color schemes for your designs. So if I go in here, so they will provide you different color combinations. So you can copy and use this color combination on your designs. You can export as an image as well and use it in your design. So in here we have Google's material design guidelines. So they also have color combinations like this. 900 is the darkest one and the 50 is the lightest. So you can select different colors and uh, see what these colors are representing in their theme guideline as well. And also in Tailwind also they have colors. So you can use same color themes in your designs when you're doing designs. So Tailwind, it is also having 50 as the lightest color and 950 is the darkest. And also in Bootstrap or any other CSS framework or any other color theme framework, they have color combinations, predefined color combinations that you can use in your designs without worrying about selecting color or color combinations. Okay, next one is gradients in UI. So by using gradients, designers can make bold statements. So you have seen the Instagram logo. It have the gradient. So the purple color and the uh, magenta and even the orange color is there. So by using that particular colors, they are trying to make a bold statement, and also it gives the logo more depth and the dimension to their logo. So gradients help create something new and unexpected. Even a tiny element such as a logo can be exciting if you applied a gradient to it. So Instagram is using this particular gradient throughout their branding as well. So when you upload the picture, the progress bar is in a gradient like this. Or even when you signing up, the most of the buttons are in this particular gradient. So they are using it to make a bold statement in their design. And by using gradients, we can also empathize certain elements. Take a look at the homepage example below. Text messages and call to action button plays a key role in this layout. And gradient background visually prioritize the elements. So this gradient background right here, it will give more prominent or depth to this image as well as this text right here, and also the call to action button. Gradients are perfect when you need to draw people's attention to a certain area, because this gradient have lighter version right here behind the image, and also the darker color behind the text. So it will give users more readability, as well as it will get draw people's attention to this particular area of the screen. So if I go to websites like Stripe, so right now they are using this kind of a gradient. So it is a gradient animation, and you can see the focal point of that animation is somewhere around here. So most of the time when users look into this kind of a website, their eye is going to that particular focal point where the colors are changing their color. So the text right here and even the call to action buttons are standing out in this particular design by using that kind of a gradient. Okay, so these are the basic types of gradient. We have linear gradient. To create a linear gradient, you need to specify two colors or two tints of the one color. So if I try to draw that in Figma, let's create a rectangle right here, and we can put a gradient to fill it in. So I'm going to select the first color, this blue color. The second color will be this one. So you can see it is a linear gradient. So you can change the direction of this line, and it will change the colors direction as well. You can make it horizontal or vertical as well. So I will leave it horizontal for now. That is a linear gradient. So you can select two tints of one color, like these people already done, the darker blue and the lighter blue, or you can select two different colors, the blue color and the magenta color in your design. Radial gradients. These are similar to linear gradients, except they radiate out of from a central point. As a designer, you can dictate where the central point should be and specify the size of the gradient. So if I take another example, okay, I'm going to create a square, then select two different colors for my gradient. My first color, let's say this purple, and my second color is this one. And I want it to be a radial gradient. Okay. Now you can see the color is coming from a central point. It is a radial gradient. So we can change the central point to wherever we want. And also we can we can manipulate the spread angle and the spread size also. And you can change the size. You can skew it or do whatever you want with these controls that Figma is given. That is a radial gradient. This is a linear and this one is a radial. A conic gradient is similar to a radial gradient. Both are circular and use the center of the element as a source point for color stops. However, for a radial gradient, the color stops emerge from the center of the circle, while the conic gradient places the color stop around the circle. So if I change this to conic gradient, copied it, pasted it here, and in Figma, it is called angular gradient. So you can see the color is not starting from the central point. It is starting from right here. So you can change the angle or you can change the central like colors like this. And you can also change the size and you can swap it around and change the color combination or the style you already have. Okay, these are some tips for creating a gradients. So in addition to a conic gradient in Figma, we have diamond shape as well, so you can use it in your designs. So let's see how it is going to work. So it will give you a shape of a diamond like this. So you can change the four corners of that and change the size and the symmetry of your diamond and use in your designs. Tips for creating impressive gradient. So these are some tips that you can use to create a nice gradient. The red and green gradients look dirty. So I create this button also. I use something similar to red and green. So that is not, when those two colors are not matching really well. So you have to make sure you use something other than that particular color if you are using like different opposite colors in the color wheel. It is better to use either analog colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, or shades of the same color. So you can clearly see this color is not looking that good, and whereas this one is really good when you interact with it. So you have to make sure you use colors next to each other or the similar colors, different shades. So that is a good practice that you have to do when you are selecting or creating impressive gradients. And next one, create smooth transition. The transition between colors should be really smooth. Ideally, the user shouldn't notice the place where one color flows to another. Take a look at the following example. You can notice a line that separates two colors. This line creates the impression of abrupt transition. So you have to make sure your colors uh, like go smoothly, spread smoothly in your design. Otherwise, you will have this kind of a line which is not really good in your design. So if I do the same in my design right here, so I have this square. So these are the gradient colors that I want to select. This blue color and lighter blue color. So you can hardly notice where one color is changing to another. But if I do something like this, if I drag it right here, so you can see this line right here. and it is visible for your users as well. So the uniformity or the spreading it uniformly is really good. But if you show this kind of a line right here, it is not that good in your design. So make sure to transition or the spread your colors wisely when you smoothly when you do the designs. Okay, by using gradients, you can convey emotion or mood as well. Color evokes emotional responses. We can use this color property to connect with audience on a deeper level. So bright, bold colors have positive feelings. So when we talk about color psychology, we talked about that bright colors such as orange or yellow gives positive emotional responses, the motivation and everything. So you can use same things and combine two different colors that convey similar type of human emotions and use it in your designs to get users feedback and connect with audience in deeper level as well. So in this example, in this UI right here, they are using orange color background and orange color gradient right here to convey the message that they want to give to their users. And even here, deep tones bring calm. So if you select deep color tones such as blue color, it will users can look into it for longer time. So it will give them more calming experience rather than looking into this kind of a bright color. So you have to make sure if it is a application that you need your users to read some content. So you have to make sure you use deep tones rather than using brighter tones in your design. So in this example also, they are using blue color as their background, the gradient, the lighter gradient of blue color to increase the readability of that particular design. Okay, this is one thing that you should consider also. You have to try to avoid acid colors. So acid colors in its original context refer to a bitter taste. Acid colors rarely work well in a user interfaces because they demand too much attention. So if you don't have the solid design skills, it is safer to avoid using them in your UI, especially when you design a gradient. So if you're designing a gradient, uh, in most cases, we don't have to use acid colors. So in some specific cases, let's say you have to design a website for a DJ or a music brand or something like that, you can use this kind of a gradient. But even if you're using a gradient, you have to make sure you combine it with other elements, because if you use a gradient in your website, your user's attention will go to that particular part rather than the other thing. So you have to make sure uh, to use the acid colors wisely if you really need to use them. Use a gradient to direct the eye to a certain part of the screen. You can use a gradient to create focal points. It's specifically helpful for small elements such as call to action buttons. So I showed you this example right here. They are using this animated gradient to uh, get users' attention to this particular area, the left-hand side of the screen. And they will read these buttons, text, and also the call to action button is also standing out with the background. So that is how Stripe is using gradients in their design. So even this example right here, the call to action button, which is the area that the designer need users attention most. So he created it with a gradient, and users will automatically click on it when they want to move forward. So if we put some other color, let's say white color or some other color, and test it with this one will get better results when comparing to the other color. And also don't forget about the color contrast. No matter how beautiful your design is, you shouldn't forget about accessibility. Always check the color contrast ratio. So right here, this one is hard to read. It is lack of color contrast ratio and it lacks the readability as well. But on the right hand side example, the white color text is easily readable with its background gradient. So these are some special tools that you can use to create gradients. You can create different gradients and by using this particular website. This website is not working. I will check the link when I put it on Google Classroom. All right. So let's do some Figma practicals. So next week we are going to cover dark mode and creating wireframes and so on. So dark mode and typography as well as creating wireframes. We are going to do it next week. So let me share your Figma board. Okay. Let me share the link of this one. This is batch. I just sent a message on Zoom chat. Can you open that and join the board? I asked you to create Figma accounts last week. So if you haven't created one, please create Figma accounts. So these are the pages that I have created for everyone. So when you do designs in the classroom, I ask you to do exercises or anything, please make sure to open your page from here and do designs in that particular page. So it will be easier for everyone. I will do my designs in the first board. Let me know if you have any difficulties joining the Figma. Dinelka, have you joined? Hisham? I can see only 3 people on the Figma. Hisham is there, Nitana. Let me start off with the presentation. Please join the Figma board, but if you have any difficulties, let me know. So we covered color psychology and color theory. Next week, we are going to do typography, style guide, UX laws, and creating wireframes. All right. So in Figma, these are the things that I'm going to cover today. Today, I'm going to give you a basic introduction to Figma, and then we are going to talk about Boolean operations and responsive grid layout. So if we have time, we can cover these things, but I think we only have 20 minutes. All right, so I think you can't join to Figma through your mobile device. You need to have a laptop or a tablet to join. So please try to watch the recording and follow the exercise I'm giving you after the class. All right, so let's start off with introduction. A Figma home screen, community, and Figma design file. So in order to download the Figma, you can go to figma.com and then click on get started for free, or if you have account, click on login, and then they will provide you with the downloading options. Like if you have a Windows computer, you can download Windows version, whereas Macintosh, if you have, you can download Mac version. And then, but if you don't prefer downloading it, you can use it in web version as well, but it is a good practice to download and use the application as designers, because it have more features, and also uh, if you have any connectivity issues, you can still save the design in your local computer if you have a downloaded version rather than using a web version. All right, so now we are going to discuss about Figma home screen. So in the Figma home screen, I think most of you have this new layout. Sometimes if you not updated your Figma, it might have the earlier version of Figma. So make sure you update your version and download the latest version of the Figma, which has this layout. So actually Figma conference was uh, conducted last month, I think, and they have added new AI features and they have changed the layout of the design and everything. So make sure to download the latest version. So in here we have the main menu. So in Figma, you can create a new window, new tab, open file in the browser. So all these things, I think you are familiar, even if you use word processor, these options are there. So make sure to go through all of these and find out what is happening. And normal controls, edit controls, undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, and specific paste properties, paste over selection. So for an example, if I want to copy this one and paste it somewhere, let's say I click on paste over selection, it will paste on this particular selected element. Whereas if I just click paste right here, it will paste in a similar place like this. They have other options, paste to replace. So let's say I want to replace this with my gradient. So let's replace this one. If I click on place to replace, it will replace the paste with the one I copied from the clipboard. And you can find next, find, replace. So I invite you to go through the main menu of Figma. So most of the time we don't use this because all the controls we need are right here and even here and also on the right hand side. But in it is a good thing if you have an idea about where you can get different elements. If you don't know keyboard shortcuts, what you can do is you can select one of these and get to know this is the keyboard shortcut to show rulers, show grid, and you can learn that and use keyboard shortcuts when you do the design when you get experience. So this is the Figma home screen. So in the home screen on the right hand side, it will have your name and you can search for any designs that you earlier did, and it will have drafts or the projects that you are working on and some of your like themes that you are working on. So those are the things in the Figma home screen. And if I click on new design file, it will create this kind of a layout. So you will be able to create a design file by using that. But if I create a Figma Jamboard, uh, where we already created a user persona here, so you can start off with a template, or you can create whatever you like user flow diagram or anything, by selecting this Figma Jamboard. And recently they introduced presentations, so you can create PowerPoint-like presentations with more customization options with Figma. So whenever you get an interview and when they ask for you to present your design, rather than presenting it in Microsoft presentation or Google presentation, uh, make sure you use Figma, because Figma is for designers. So you can create better presentations using Figma as well. All right. Let me share the Google Classroom link once again. 1 second. I think Safna is already invited. You should have received an email to your email account. Can you even check your spam emails as well? And everyone else, please join Udara. Uh, So have to join. Please check in your spam email. Let me send it in if okay, I will invite you again. Please try to go through your spam emails as well. This is the class code. Okay, I just sent you the class code as a Zoom chat. So please join the class. Perfect. Then, so mainly we are talking about the new design file. So if I click on new design file, so it will give you this option. So on the left hand side of our design, so if I go to our batch design, because it already have done some design, we have the Figma icon where you can open all these file items in here. And if you want this one to go away, you can click on this expand UI icon and it will uh, make it go away. And if you want it back, you can toggle and click on it again. And you can search for any file by clicking on this search icon, and you have pages and layers. So pages can have different layers. So inside my page, I have this layer and more layers I already created. So everyone else also, if you create something here, it will show up as a layer beneath your design. And asset creation, and how to create an asset and how to use an asset, I will describe it to you coming next week actually. So you can create assets, and assets are kind of like, it is reusable elements. If you create asset one time, you can use it anywhere in your design. So that is the idea behind an asset. All right, that is about the left hand side pane. If I go in here, so these two rulers, the horizontal, the y-axis and the x-axis here. So you can see if I drag, uh, click on the ruler and drag a line, you can see then the ruler or the guideline will be there in my screen. I can do the similar thing for my vertical axis, y-axis. You can drag it and drop, and you can create a ruler or a guideline, horizontal guideline, by dragging it right here. So you can see I have created 4 guidelines for my design. So that is about the ruler.
Excuse me, sir. Are you showing it through the Figma app or are you showing it through the video?
I'm showing it through the video. Can you see my screen?
The screen doesn't show.
Is it same for everyone else? Can you see it now?
Yes, now it's visible. Thank you.
All the time it wasn't visible, is it?
Yeah, it was not on.
So what I was mentioning is now you even, all right. So I will go from the beginning then. So this is the Figma dashboard where you have all your files and everything, and your name is up here, and you can change the theme and you can change the community. Okay, if you have more accounts, you can add another account as well. All your projects will displayed here, and we are mainly considering on design file. So if you open new Figma Jamboard, it will give you this kind of a layout where you can create user flow diagrams or brainstorming, anything regarding research you can do in user like Figma Jamboard. And Figma presentation, it is actually recently introduced, so you can use that to create PowerPoint like presentation within Figma itself. All right. Now, if I open a file in Figma, new Figma file, it will give me this kind of a layout. So it is similar to what we have here. So if I click on this Figma icon, it will give me all the file options on top right here as well. And if I click on this, it will hide the pane navigation, and also the properties pane, it will go away. If you click on it again, it will show up. And in the file section, we have pages. So in the pages, I have created pages for everyone. So whenever you do designs, please make sure you go to your page and do the design. So in that way, I can follow up and I can see everyone's design in here. Okay, after you create someone in your design, it will show up in the layers as well. So inside my design, I have few layers. I have rectangle, I have button, and so on. So if you, let's say, want to rename something in Figma, let's say I want to rename this as a button, what you can do is you can double click on this name and put a meaningful name. So always make sure you put a meaningful name for whatever the design you do, because after some time, let's say after one example, after 1 year, you have to refer to the same design and change some color of something. So if you have something, some meaningful naming right here, it will be easier for you to find the button from here. So it will show the button right here. And even when you sending this to someone, let's say you have some co-designers in team, so they will also understand what you were doing, and they can easily follow up, and they can change the names, they can do design changes easily. And uh, most important thing, when you design this one and give the code to developers, if you have proper namings right here, like button or the h1 tag or the paragraph, it will be easier for developers to grab the code from Figma itself and do the coding themselves. So otherwise they have to rename these and export the code, so that will be really hard for them as well. And you can export it as CSS, iOS, whatever, if you are into front-end development. So let's switch off the developer mode by clicking on here. So that is about your left-hand side pane. So if you want to create a guideline, you can go to this ruler. So these two are rulers. The x-axis ruler is right here. Y-axis ruler is right here. So click on it and grab it to your design, and it will create your guideline like this. So you can use it as a guideline. So most of the time when you do designs, you have to set these guidelines because your design should end here. So I will go through it when we do more design in later weeks. And you can do the same thing for the x-axis as well. You can drag it and keep it as a guideline whenever you need it. All right. So that is about your left-hand side pane. And then if you want to rename something right here, let's say I want to rename it, I can double click and rename. And when you click on each of these elements on your design board, the properties for
Uh,
that. Yeah,
excuse me, sir, the video went out again.
is it similar for everyone else? Can you tell one, Safna? How about Nitara? Is there any video right now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Tarisha, can you still see my screen or not?
No, sir. I
Okay.
can see the Figma file, but your screen just has your name only.
All right. Can you let me stop share and share again. So make sure you have the zoom window on top of your Figma file, because I think that is the reason. Please make sure you have a zoom file on top. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it now. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So if you follow the video recording, you can go through the missing parts, because I think you had your Figma file on top of the Zoom. So let's see. So we were discussing, so all the properties of selected item right here can be displayed on the right hand side. So here we have the rectangle. So we have created this rectangle, so it is showing as a rectangle. So even here, this one. So this is a frame, so it will show it as a frame. So we have different types. So if I first open a Figma file right here, so it will give me this kind of layout. I don't have anything in my board. The first thing you have to do as designers is to create a frame. So Figma is giving some predefined screen sizes. Let's say if you want to design something for a mobile screen, so you can select one layout from any of these. And also tablet have different sizes, desktop, and even a watch or anything. So you don't have to worry about Googling about the sizes. What is the size I want to create different designs and so on. You can quickly select whatever the design that you want to create the screen size and start working on it. Right now I selected iPhone 14 and 15 Pro Max size. So you can change, or you can even select any other design that you like. If you want to design a desktop application, you can again click on this and go to desktop section and select desktop. So it will give you a desktop layout. So after selecting that, if you want to rename it, let's say I want to rename this to home page, I can double click in here and rename it. All right. So this is the position of that particular board. So the X position is this amount, and Y position is this. And if I want to rotate it, I can rotate it by changing the value right here. And I can flip it horizontally, flip vertically, and this is the dimensions of that desktop application predefined by Figma is given right here. The width is 1440 pixels, 1024 pixels is the height. The clip content, I will describe it to you when we do actual designs, when we have some advanced experience. And appearance is also, you can control the opacity of your design. And the fill color, you can change the fill color of your design by changing this particular color. So when you click on this particular icon, it will give you a color selector. You can change the color based on the requirement. And stroke also. So if I create something, let's say I'm going to create a button. Button font size is 48, so you can see it better. Sign up. All right. Now I right click on it. So there's two ways that you can create buttons. Number one is you can just create a rectangle and then type something on it. Let's say sign up. But if you change the font size, let's say sign up, if you change the font size, the background wrapper is not getting bigger to accommodate that. So that is why we have to create buttons in different way inside Figma. So the first thing we have to do is, in order to create a button, we just have to type something. So I get the text tool right here and type sign up or sign in or something like that, whatever the call to action text that you require. Then after that, you have to right click on that and select frame selection, not group selection. I will tell you the difference. Click on frame selection. So now you have a frame. Now I ask you to put a meaningful name here. So I'm going to put a meaningful name. I'm going to call it a button because it is a button. After that, we can select it and give it a different fill color. So I'm going to click on that plus icon right here and give it a fill color. So I want it to, so since we learned gradients, so I'm going to have a linear gradient. So I'm going to change the direction to this x-axis and select two different colors. The first color I'm going to select is this one, and the second color I'm going to select is this. Okay. Now you can see the readability wise, because my text is black color, it is hard to read. So I'm going to change this color to white color, and this is my button. Now I'm going to add some padding and also add some uh, border radius and everything. So now you can see the difference. So if I change the size of my text, let's say if I change it to different size, it is still the same, but it is inside that particular frame I created. So in order to make it responsive, what I can do is I can go to this layout right here and click on this use auto layout option. Use auto layout and click on that, and it will give you some options right here. So right now, the hug means it is taking the size of the inner content. So if I change the text right here, the button size is changing. So even if I change the size of the font, the button is changing the size based on whatever the design I have inside the button. So this one, don't do that because uh, I have two layers separately. So the background element is not changed in the size. So even if I want to type some different text here, let's say by now, it is taking the size of that particular text because it is responsive. So let's add some padding. So by adding a value here, you can add horizontal padding. I'm going to give it a 30 pixels, and vertical padding, I'm going to add 15 pixels. So my button will look like this. I will add some corner radius as well. So 15 pixels is what I want. So that is how you can create a button. So now let's go through the button properties right here. Now we have the x-axis. So this is the position of the button. So if I change the position, you can see the x and y positions are changing. And also you can rotate the button if you like. And even you can flip it vertically and flip it horizontally or rotate it to whatever the 90-degree angle you want. And even, okay, those are the position properties we have, basic properties. And in the auto layout, we have width and height. So if I select something fixed width, it won't be responsive. So you can see it is not responsive. So always make sure to have this as hug. So that is hug contents. So it will take the size of your content rather than keeping it in a fixed size. All right. So these are some basic things. So we will cover Boolean operations and Figma home screen community design file. So I've covered Figma home screen and Figma design file basics. So now let's go to the community. So it is, so in order to access Figma community, you have to go to your home screen by clicking here, and they have a button called Explore Community. So Figma community is somewhat open source community. So when users do Figma design, when designers do something they like to share with the community, they can share by clicking publish button. So you can access any of these community examples or the designs and use them in your designs as well. In the future, if you do a good design that you can share with other co-designers, you can do the same thing by sharing your design in Figma community as well. So in order to access that, you have to click on Explore Community and go there. All right. So we covered Figma's home screen, community, and Figma design file. I have to cover a few parts right here. I will go through the properties of the Figma file when we do the practicals. And then Boolean operations, union, subtract, intersect, and exclude, especially when you want to create a graphic inside your Figma file, you will need this. So I will go through that next week. Responsive grid, auto layout, components, variants, and those are the things that we are going to start off next session. And also we are going to do the remaining parts in our other presentation as well. This one. The dark mode, and then we are going to do typography, and UX flows, creating wireframes. So those are the theory topics that we are going to cover next week, and also we are going to do more exercises in Figma as well. So in the meantime, if you have any questions regarding today's session, uh, you can ask now. We can have like 5 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask now. So if I ask you one by one, I think we have some newcomers as well. Do you have any questions? Ratna Rajan, I'm sorry.
Actually, sir, this is my first session,
Yeah,
so I will refer to first recording and will update in the next class on my status.
okay. So when you refer to the first recording, if you have any questions, you can send a message on WhatsApp group chat as well. So I will try to help you.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay. How about Dinalka? Hisham? Questions? Nitara? Safna? All right. Samudi?
No problem, sir. I understood.
Okay. How about Tarisha?
I'm good, sir. Thanks.
Okay. Ishamal? Any questions? All right then. So let's meet next week around 9 a.m. So I got so 2 messages. All right, cool. So let's meet next week at 9 a.m. So if you have any questions, send a message on WhatsApp. So I will answer. Have a nice day then. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.